My name is Nick. I'll be your host for this evening, and I'm going to point the camera to you to tell me who you are and what you do and what makes you great.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Karen. I am a coordinator for the Red Clay Consolidated School District. I am an educator. What makes me great? Looking at my Clifton strengths, I am a woo.
What's the woo? You can't just say you're a woo and move on. We have to know.
I bring the excitement. I am energized.
Right.
A woo.
So like woo woo woo.
Woo woo woo.
All right.
Okay. My name is Shanika, and I currently work for CPSU for the state of Delaware. And what makes me great? I am multi-talented and a serial entrepreneur. So I get to the bag.
Yes, I'm Priscilla Artist. I work for the Wilmington Public Libraries, the 34th and Market Branch, and I do programming coordinating for all the various events there. My greatest thing is I've managed to be married 40 years and have two awesome, great grown daughters.
Good God.
So let's get into it. Right now, I believe we are in a generation where women now have choices. So much so that we now may be choosing the first woman president of the United States of America. Secondly, when there was World War I, World War II, women got into the workforce, and that dramatically changed our perspective on how we saw relationships, marriage, and working. So I wanted to have a group of diverse women to answer the question, do we still aspire to marriage? Do we still aspire to be married? And I want to kind of open it up a little bit more, because I feel like what we may aspire to in our examples that we have lived, would you also raise your daughter to aspire to that same thing? So I feel like it's a two-part. Do you still aspire to marriage, or do you aspire to be married, right? And then secondarily, which is, if you had daughters, would you train her, raise her to aspire to marriage also? We'll start with you, Miss Wu.
Okay. So I was married for 13 years. I have 3 children. They're adults now. And then we got divorced. And then I got remarried. And then I got divorced again. So to answer your question, yes, I love being married. I love the whole thing. I worked. I loved being the homemaker. We just didn't agree on certain things. I think back then, mental health wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And I think he had a lot of mental health issues that were like covered. But as far as my daughter is concerned, she's married as well. She has a son. But I raised her to be independent, but still a nurturer, still to do the things that a wife is supposed to do. So she's looking for a partner. My background is my parents are West Indian, Jamaican. So I was raised traditionally, where my dad took care of everything in the outside of the house and my mother took care of the inside. So the cooking, the washing, the cleaning, my mom was a nurse. She did everything. My father worked in a factory, but he took care of the car payments, washing the cars, putting the gas in the cars, the house, and painting and that sort of thing, and the lawn. So traditional values, yes. But I think now it seems to be a little harder to find a partner who is able to match that, to meet me at that point. So I still believe in marriage, but I think it's a little tricky nowadays.
So what you're saying is they're not raising them right now. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I would say that. But then I have my daughter, who's the oldest, and then I have 2 sons. And so I raised my sons to be respectful of women. And I asked their girlfriends, are they respectful? but to look for a partner. And so it's a tricky thing. Again, I wasn't raised in an American household. It was a traditional Jamaican household. So I would say yes to that. So it's a difference in like a culture.
Okay, I understand that completely. What does that look like for you? So you've had a few experiences. So share those experiences. Were your man raised right?
Well, I am divorced, so
Good start.
I am going to say no, they weren't. And not just in marriage, just relationships, period. You know, once I started growing and evolving, I started doing more research on who I'm going to be with. And the background to a lot of, you know, like she was saying, is mommy issues. So when they're already dealing with mommy issues, then they're trying to get into a relationship. I'm looking for a partner, not a project. So I do aspire to be married. I'm not in any rush because I did ignore red flags. You know, I did make mistakes. And I don't want to make them mistakes again. Now, as far as my children, I do want them to get married, but I want that to be a choice that they make, because a lot of times, you know, when children see certain things, it kind of like deters them from wanting to be in a marriage, you know, based off of what they saw happen in your relationship. So I just always let my children know, no matter what, still be you, still be who God called you to be, you know, regardless of whether the relationship worked or not, still be who, don't let nobody change it. You know, that's the main thing, but yes.
But here's my thing, why aspire, right? So there's so many things that we could aspire to. And I remember probably a few Thanksgivings ago, my grandmother asked me about, like, when you get married? I said, Grandma, you're not married? Why must I be married? She was just like, I did that already. And I said, and how did it work out? You know? And so part of my thought process is, how do we raise this generation and the generation following us to adjust to the times? Do we live by example and have them adjust to the times based on us, or do we continue to push the same narrative, which is get married, have kids, have the house, which honestly, my mother says this to me all the time. She says, I never read you fairy tales. And she is so proud that she never read me fairy tales, because she didn't want me to grow up thinking that Prince Charming or Princess Charming, whoever that person is going to come to save me. She wanted me to be my own hero. And that is the greatest thing she probably could have ever done, is raising me to be 100% a person and not looking for someone to split the bill. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but I am 100. I'm not looking for 50-50. I'm looking for 100. And I think that's what you guys are saying. But at the same token, you're still saying, I still aspire to this thing. I'm going to pass it over.
After 40 years, I definitely aspire to this thing. And I believe there's a lot of things that you have to put into the equation to make a marriage work. It's not going to work just willy-nilly and you're doing your thing and he's doing his thing. And you've got to come together on one accord. And you also have to have great communication and things of that nature. We both went to college before we got married. We did some things that we wanted to do, you know, but we both had a desire to be married. We both said we didn't want to marry someone that had already been married. We didn't want to marry someone that had children, things of that nature. So we had, you know, a lot of young ladies now are not raising the bar high enough. You know, they're really lowering their standards for a lot of different things and doing a lot of compromising. And I have 2 grown daughters. I have a 38-year-old daughter. She's not married. I have a 36-year-old daughter. She is not married. I am not forcing them to be married. I'm not encouraging them. I tell them, live your life. And when it's your time, it'll be your time. As I was telling a young lady here, I tell them straight up, you know, I would rather you be who you are, do what you're doing, rather than living with some man that's disrespecting you, not handling you correctly, and things of that nature. So having a man on your, you know, arm doesn't always mean anything, you know what I'm saying? But at the same token, if you have that desire, it's a desire, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of people aren't up for the job. It's a job. It's a job. And I tell anybody, it's a three chord. It has to be you, him, and Christ in the center.
I think the interesting thing, or the most important thing that you said is, you didn't say the word, but alignment is what I heard, which is that I wanted this thing, he wanted this thing, and therefore we were willing to do what it takes to make it work.
And again, and also, not to be pushing this, but I'm saying that he was a Christian, I was a Christian, I was a minister, he's a minister, things of this nature. We have things in common, things of that nature. A lot of times you're not balanced. And so therefore you're making choices, you're making decisions, you're unequally yoked. And like I said, it's harder when you do things that are against your will, and against things that you want to do. So it's important that when you do these things, you have that hard conversation. What I want, what I need, what I want, communication is 100. You have to be straight up forward with one another to make things work.
Thank you guys so much for that, as I love the different perspectives. I appreciate you all.